Can you talk to me at all about like how
Yeah.
to practically
Yeah.
live out a story or achieve a goal without getting caught up in that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
romantic vision, the Hollywood version of it, and more like the real life version of it? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's this leads us into a practical storytelling tip here, actually, that I think can be really helpful to people. If we go back to Aristotle and poetics, Aristotle suggested that there were kind of four endings for any story. And I think this is really helpful in examining our own stories in our lives. And Aristotle said, that some stories that the protagonist gets both what they want and what they need.
Mm.
And in a story like that, we typically call those fairy tales, like Pixar movies, Disney films, right? Every Disney film, the character gets both what they want and what they need. These are fairy tales. And to be quite honest, it rarely happens in life that way, that we get both what we want and what we need. More than likely is that we experience one of the two middle stories that Aristotle talked about. And the first story he talked about, after when a character gets what they want and what they need, is when a character gets what they want, but not what they need. And this also can be a really difficult story to tell. These are typically parables, where a character learns a hard lesson because they get the thing that they've been after, but it doesn't bring them fulfillment. It
Hmm.
wasn't really what they needed at the end. Story that's in The Social Network, the film The
Yeah.
Social Network, where Mark Zuckerberg's character, he gets what he wants. He gets Facebook, but he doesn't really get what he needs. The irony is he needed friends.
Yeah.
He
So
gets
good.
Facebook, but he doesn't get friends. And this is the big irony of this story. Well, Aristotle said there was a third type of story where a character gets what they need, but not what they want. And this, I would suggest, is probably the most common type of story told in Hollywood.